Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jasudana Nana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jasudana Nana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jasudana Nana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschatchari Shatarine. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for coming this evening to this wonderful Sunday program which we conduct every week, and we're very happy to have you be a part of it. There's a very nice comment given by Queen Kunti, wherein in the Bhagavatam she says that the Lord comes to rejuvenate the desire to hear and chant and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the purpose of the Lord's descent. One of the purposes, many purposes of course, and we'll discuss that a little bit this afternoon. But she says that the Lord comes to rejuvenate this because by the influence of Kali, the desire to engage in spiritual practices diminishes. It's just the fact of the age. From Satya Yuga to Treta to Dwapara to Kali, gradually everything decreases. Especially interest in the spiritual upliftment of oneself and society. So, for that reason, the Lord has to make his regular appearance. Ramadi Murti Shukalani Amena Tishtan Nan Avataram Akarod Bhuvane Shukintu Krishnak Swayam Sambhavat Paramak Pumanyo Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Lord Brahma states that I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who has manifested himself personally in the form of Krishna. And the many avatars, like Rama, Nrsimha, Vamana, we have regular festivals here to observe the different incarnations of the Lord, who are his subjective portions, which is important because, again, the Lord comes when he has a certain feeling. Subjective portion means that it's something that's generated out of his thinking and feeling, which is important to understand also because just as we think and feel, the Lord is also thinking and feeling. And when he feels a certain emotion, because again, everything is emanating from the personality of Godhead, just like we have certain emotions, the personality of Godhead also has emotions. And when he wants to exhibit those emotions, they manifest in various avatars. Or he comes personally, as he did 5,000 years ago when he wanted to speak the Bhagavad Gita, to reestablish the principles of religion and to annihilate the miscreants. So he also appears in the form of Nrsimhadev when he feels the need for to express his anger, for instance. And someone may question, well, why would God be angry? Well, the Lord has various emotions just as we do, but they're on the transcendental plane. They're not influenced by some mode of ignorance or some material need. No, when the Lord acts, all of his activities are divyam, they're transcendental. They're not affected or influenced by material energy. So when he comes and he exhibits these subjective portions, because that's what they are, they're subjective. They're based on his thinking and feeling. And that which is resulting from a feeling or a temperament of the subject. And the subject we're discussing is Krishna. And again, just as he feels to do something, it manifests. So the question may arise then, well, what is the purpose? Because there has to be some purpose to the Lord's manifesting himself in these wonderful transcendental forms. And the question may arise that, well, who was Ram and what was his purpose? And we can understand from Bhagavad Gita that it's transcendental, right? Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti taktadaha. That the Lord's activities are transcendental and they're there for us to understand. And when you understand those transcendental forms, naitimam eti suarjana, there's no coming back to this difficult place where we're having to deal with bad microphones. Or we have to deal with bad weather. So these are transcendental reasons. I'll get it down. Actually, I should have brought my screwdriver. I do a lot of property maintenance, and I usually carry screwdrivers, believe it or not. So I need a screwdriver. But anyway, we'll get on with it. This is another maintenance man here. Got it.
Just leave it tight there.
So he comes with a purpose. And he explains in Bhagavad Gita that we should try to understand that purpose. Janma karma chame divyam. If we understand that, then the destination is the spiritual world. There's no coming back to this temporary place where we have to struggle. And that means that his name, his activities, his appearances are all divine, and they're purposeful. They're not just for some exhibition, but there's purpose behind them. And the potency of understanding those names and activities and appearances of the Lord are very special. Just like a few minutes ago, we were chanting the 1,000 names of Vishnu. The name of the Lord is all auspicious. And to recite them, to understand them, to understand what their purpose is, because there's a purpose behind those names. They either describe the qualities of Krishna or or his activities. He may have done something very extraordinary, and so we give him a special name. So, of course, the Lord has unlimited activities and he has unlimited names, but for the purpose of our program this afternoon, we were chanting the 1,000 names of Vishnu. And those names are very auspicious. There's a discussion between Parvati and Lord Shiva, in which Parvati is asking various interesting questions, intelligent questions about the name of the Lord and how powerful it is. And Lord Shiva explains to her that the names of Vishnu are all auspicious. And to chant those thousands of names, those hundreds of names, is very, very auspicious. But Parvati's inquiry was, or comment, confusion, not really, but comment was that, well, what if I can't chant those 1,000 names? Maybe I don't know how to pronounce it. Maybe I'm not able to, or for some circumstance can't. Can you give me something which can account for that, or counteract that deficiency, or help me in that regard? And Lord Shiva says, Rama Rameti Rameti, Rame Rame Manorame. Right? That I take great pleasure in chanting this name of Rama, Rama, Rama. I get great joy and happiness from it. Sahasranama Nama Bis Tulyam Rama Rama Varanane. That the benefit of chanting the holy names is certainly auspicious, without a doubt. But this name of Rama is so powerful that just that one name, that one chanting of Rama, is equal to chanting 1,000 names of Vishnu. Just like when we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, we're addressing Lord Ram. We're addressing Balaram. They're non-different. And we're asking them to please engage us in their devotional service. And so she was comforted by Lord Shiva to know that if I just simply chant that name once, it's so powerful. There's a very nice description of all of this, of course, all of this information we get from the revealed scriptures. That's, first of all, we have to understand, where is this information coming from? It comes from the Bhagavatam and the Ramayana. In this case, we're discussing Lord Ram, in which the glories and the purpose of the Lord are described. So there's a very nice story or account of one sage, one Brahmin, whose name was Prachet. And he was a very pious person who lived in the forest, as Brahmins would do in those times, in secluded places, and raising their family, doing their practices. And he had one son. The son was a very young child when he wandered away. He was just a few years old. He wandered away, and as we all, as parents, we may sometimes experience that, right? The child runs away, and before you know it, you're looking all over. Where is it? Where is it? And so you have to keep an eye. So this young boy, he wandered off and he got lost in the forest. But he was found by one hunter, and the hunter adopted the boy, and he raised him and taught him the art of hunting, and the boy was very proficient. And as he continued with his life, he grew older. He got married, began to raise a family. The hunter gave him a name of Ratnakara. And he was raising his family, working as a hunter, but by fate's arrangement, it wasn't enough to sustain his family. So he had to resort to robbery. And what would he do? He would wait for pilgrims along the road, and he would rob them and then kill them. I remember some years ago, this was in '74, we were going from Calcutta to Mayapur, and along the road, as you take the main road from Calcutta to Krishnagar, there's a turnoff onto Bhakti Siddhanta Road, which is the road that goes right into the Mayapur Mandir. And I was traveling with some devotees. There were 6 of us packed into this little ambassador. If you know what ambassador cars are like in India, they're small. They're really, really small. And so there were 6 of us, and we packed there was absolutely no room in the vehicle. So you had to pack everything up on the roof. No, the roof was just had a number of bags on it. And we were driving along, and we turned off, and right at the turnoff, there's a railroad crossing. And just as we got to the railroad crossing, the gate came down. And we're wondering, oh, this is odd. There's no train coming. We don't hear anything. So we're a little bit bewildered. The gate comes down, and all of a sudden, there were a good dozen men who came out with sticks. And we could understand they were not a welcoming committee. neither were they going to be doing some garba dancing. But they came out with big sticks. And fortunately, the driver was keen on what was happening here. And he floored the car, and we went around the train gate. And of course, those cars, they don't speed very fast. You can almost run as fast as they go fast. So we got around the gate, and then we heard some shooting. So we could understand that this was their business. So this was also Ratnakar's business, that he would rob and kill. So on one occasion, Narada Muni was walking along a path, and he approached Narada Muni and attempted to rob him. But he could understand that this is a special personality. And Narada asked him, "What are you doing?" And Ratnakara said, "Well, I'm trying to feed my family. I'm robbing." "Why are you doing this?" "Well, to feed my family, because I can't make enough by my hunting work, and I need to do this." So Narada Muni said, "Well, then you should ask your family, are they willing to share the sinful reactions to what you're doing? Ask them. Ask them, are they willing to share the reactions to your activities here?" So he went to his family and he asked, and they said, "No, absolutely not. We're not interested in sharing anything." So he was bewildered what to do. So he went back to Narada Muni and said, "Well, what am I to do?" And Narada Muni told him to chant Rama. Rama, Rama, Rama. But Ratnakara said, "What is this chanting business?" Just like sometimes we ask people to chant Hare Krishna and they're thinking, "Well, what is this for? This is just some hocus pocus or a mind control or whatever runs through their brain." And so I can't even pronounce it. Isn't that a fact? Sometimes people say, "Oh, I can't even pronounce it." So Narada Muni said, "Okay, well, you chant Mara. Just chant Mara, which means death." So Ratnakara began to chant Mara, 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 Rama, 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 Rama. So he eventually, we understand what happened. He began to chant the holy name of Ram. And he fell into such ecstasy from this chanting that he chanted for 12 years straight there. And in the course of his chanting, an anthill was built all around him, up over him. And he's there absorbed in the holy name. And then these Sapta Rishis, who are the rishis who, if we look up in the Big Dipper, these planets, the 7 planets, are presided over by different rishis. Atri, Vashishta, Vishwamitra, there's Gautama, Jamadagni. There's different saintly persons who preside over these different planets. So these Sapta Rishis, they came on the scene, and they're amazed. How is this person engaged in such a deep absorption in the chanting of the holy name of Ram? They were quite impressed. So they saw that this fellow, he's covered by Valmika, right, an anthill. And so they, when he was uncovered, they gave him the name of Valmiki, one who was born of anthill. So in this way, he began his spiritual life. just by the chanting of the holy name of Ram. And after some time, Narada Muni came back and began to, he noticed that this Valmiki was absorbed in his spiritual practices, and he was making a great advancement, so he was quite impressed. And Valmiki asked him, can you tell me if there's anyone in the world who is a composite of all virtuous qualities? And he listed a number of qualities, some 16 qualities: truthfulness, honesty, chivalrous, attractive. So all of these qualities were there, we understand, in the personage of Ram. So Valmiki was curious. He could understand this Narada Muni, he's an intelligent person. He must know. Is there anyone in this world who has such qualities? And Narada Muni said, hardly you can find anyone, but there is one. And his name is Ram. And he lives in the kingdom of Ayodhya. And he began to describe in brief, the wonderful qualities of Lord Ram. And Valmiki was with rapt attention was listening, but he had to take bath. So he said, I want to hear more, but I have to take bath. So he went to take his bath, and as he went there, he saw one hunter who was killing another bird, a male bird who was with his mate. They were engaged in a passionate exchange, and the female was mourning the death of her mate, the hunter who the hunter had just killed. And Valmiki was very angry at this. How is it that how can you do such a thing? Ill-fated hunter, how can you do such a thing? And he rebuked him by reciting one very, very beautiful verse. And in the verse, he points out to the hunter that what you've done is something which will cause you infamy for a long, long, long time. How is it that you could do such a thing? But when he was reciting this verse, he recognized that he was saying the verse in the same rhythm as the female bird in her morning song. And he was struck by how beautiful it was. And so he went back to his ashram, and lo and behold, Brahma is there. And Valmiki relates to him that, well, I just had this experience with these two birds, and I was chanting this verse, and Brahma said, it was by my inspiration that you were able to recite this verse in that perfect rhythm, in that perfect meter. And from that we can understand Valmiki is described as Kavi, or the first poet. It was by his recitation of that verse, that experience, which we now experience or share when we read the various shlokas in the Vedic philosophy. Right? Sarva dharma parijajya mamekam saranam braja angtang sarva pavebhyo mokshayashami masucha. That rhythm is originally coming from Valmiki. So this was so he was so struck by this, and Lord Brahma then benedicted him that now you should write this wonderful literature about the life of Lord Ram, the Ramayana. And I'll give you divya dristi. I'll give you inner inspiration, divine vision. We can understand that as Trikalagya, actually. He gave him vision to see the past, the present, and the future in Lord Ram's pastimes. And that whatever he wrote in this book would come to be. So he immediately begins writing this wonderful literature, the Ramayana, which we're so fortunate to have now. And in it, he describes, as we've heard numerous times, how Lord Ram is the son of Dasarat, but he's also in a very special lineage. That before Dasarat, there was Bhagirat, who we understand was responsible for bringing the Ganga to the earthly plane from the heavenly planets. And then after him, there's Maharaj Khatvanga. Khatvanga, we understand, was a very powerful king, and he was so powerful that no one could defeat him in a fight. So the demigods approached him that, can you come and help us? We're having a fight with the Asuras, which is a constant thing, even in the heavenly planets, huh? Even in the heavenly regions, they're fighting. So of course I'll fight. So he went and he joined the Devas to fight the Asuras. And they were so pleased by his effort that they wanted to offer him a benediction. So he thought for a moment. He said, "Well, what should I consider here? The demigods, they're fighting in the heavenly planets. There's fighting here. There must be something more. So I'll just ask, how long do I have to live?" And they said, 1 moment. So in a moment, he absorbed himself in the lotus feet of the Lord and was liberated. And then, of course, we have Dasarat. And then we have now with us Lord Ram. And the pastimes of Lord Ram are described so nicely in Srimad Bhagavatam and in the Ramayana. And these pastimes describe the glories of how expert Lord Ram was in his management, especially. He instituted the first practices of Varnashram Dharma, right? Just like as we're reading from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Chatur, what is that verse? Jantimam Janana Sukirtana. No. Chaturvida. By Krishna's directions, he's created the 4 ashramas and Chaturvarnyamaya Shrishtam, Guna Karma Vibhagasha. So by his management, the implementation of this Varna ashram system was there within his domain. And as a young boy, he was very astute in his practices. He would assist Vashista in vanquishing and protecting the sacrificial arenas from the Rakshasas, and making sure that society was being run properly. So he was very expert in his execution and the guidance of Vashishta especially was important. As he grew older, when he was of a marriageable age, there's a wonderful account of how he had broken the bow of Lord Shiva, which was described as being so heavy that 300 men would have to carry it. And it was over 46,000 pounds in weight. But the Lord easily picked up this bow, and as he was stringing it, he snapped it in half. The idea was that whoever could swing or string this bow would get the hand of Sita Devi. So he exhibited his wonderful qualities in so many different ways. He was very obedient to his father. When he was about to be coronated as the king of Ayodhya, there was some intrigue by Kaikeyi, his stepmother, that he was banished for some 14 years in the forests, and Bharat instead was put there. And of course, and again, that goes on how he met various Rakshasas, Suparnaka, then ultimately defeated Ravan in his in quite a wonderful battle, which is there described in the Ramayana. After he had stolen Sita Devi by some intrigue with the help of the mystic Marichi, Ravan went off to Lanka, and Lord Ram had to come and rescue her. So these pastimes are all there, as Queen Kuti comments, is to rejuvenate our desire to hear and chant and worship the personality of Godhead. It's described in the Bhagavatam that one who hears these narrations, a really beautiful verse, it says that anyone who orally receives their narrations concerning the characteristics of Ramchandra's pastimes will ultimately be freed from the disease of envy, and thus be liberated from the bondage of fruitive activities. Because everyone in the material world, everyone is envious of someone else. That is the nature of the material world. And such envious, even in spiritual circles, it's there, as Prabhupada comments. And such envious devotees even are not completely freed from the bondage of birth and death. As long as one is not completely free from the cause of birth and death, one cannot enter the Sanatan Dham, or the eternal pastimes of the Lord. So there's a purpose behind the Lord's coming, and it's just a matter of us hearing from the right source and being able to appreciate how everything he does, there's multiple purposes and multiple results. So we thank you very much for coming, and we have a couple more minutes. Let's chant. Sitaram Jaya Sitaram Sitaram Jaya Sitaram. 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 Sitaram, 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 Jaya Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Jaya Sitaram. Raghavati Raghav